This is Undaunted.Life, a man's podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Thompson. Let's get into it. Sometimes when you're living through history, you don't know it. But like tonight, we lived through history, and we're actually doing some history right now because this is probably the first time in the history of the universe that we have converging podcasts, 3 converging podcasts. We've got Deepen, we've got Resilient, and Undaunted.Life. And so I just need to know, like, from you guys, because you haven't really done much, like, with your career, your resume is kind of whack. But, like, what's it feel like to have this, like, tremendous meeting of the minds, you know? Does it feel special?
It doesn't feel like that at all, does it? It feels like
that's why I'm trying to build it up.
2 guys that I know pretty good that I'm just going to catch up with. That's what it actually feels like.
Hey, don't poo-poo on my idea. Come on.
For me, I think the day feels special. So I'm kind of tying it together with we just had a real special day.
You caught and killed an alligator today.
I did.
And was that cooler than talking?
Spoke at 1122.
Yeah, it was cool, but it wasn't as cool as the engagement of those men. It wasn't just like the amount of men showed up, which was incredible, but just that they showed up here with so much passion. And it's really encouraging for me right now because I'm sure everybody's felt the last few months of just this darkness, and so just to see this resurgence of this firelight inside of men right now is like it made it a good day for me. Well, so it kind of shadows your little trifecta.
Yeah, well, I was just I had to come up with something to say at the beginning because Vinky's not here. But no, the thing that's really interesting watching, because people were making the joke because they're like, "Weren't you just here?" I was like, "Well, yeah." So they had Saturated last week. This is coming out, about a week or so after we record. And so that's basically church, like big time church, like Wednesday through Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then everyone kind of got to catch their breath. And then, continuing the Worship is War series. And then we get in there tonight, and you never really know exactly what to expect kind of with men's events, because we've all spoken to men's events before. And sometimes you get dudes that are like leaning forward a little bit. And then sometimes you get guys that are just kind of like, there's like a little malaise. But the energy that was in the room tonight was like substantial before the first chord was played. And so I mean, Joby, you're just kind of used to this. It's kind of old hat for you, but like I try to tell your staff, I'm like, do y'all realize how weird this is? Like all this is very weird, but the timing couldn't be better with what we're going through as a country too.
Yeah, this year we're focused on calling men to stand firm and act like men. And I just thought it'd be cool to have a men's worship night. And we're in a series called Worship at War. And I just thought it'd be cool to have a warrior come tell war stories, And bro, first of all, I could listen to like the on the field war stories that you tell forever. But then also the way you connected it to like the enemy trying to kill, steal, and destroy you. Like the devil trying to kill you when you got home and trying to kill your marriage. And that amount of vulnerability was just really incredible, because what we're trying to do is call men into the battle. And worship is war. When you worship God, you're not worshiping you. You're not worshiping the devil. You're worshiping the one true God. And so, in case you're a little slow on the uptake, that's what tonight was. We had this big men's event. We've never done a men's event. We don't do that kind of stuff.
Y'all never done a night like this. I didn't
never, ever. We've had worship nights for the whole church, and dude, we there's 3,000 seats in there. We were packed here. We were packed at 2 of our other campuses, and it's just guys come into worship and just and hear you share your testimony.
Well, I just felt super compelled to one, tell a war story from Afghanistan, and 2, kind of bookending it, but like show that we're all in a spiritual war. Mm-hmm. Like, and those wars could be in the battlefield of Afghanistan. Those could be at home in your marriage, in your family. They're everywhere, but the strategies to win are the same.
One of the things I have to fight when I talk to guys like you, Chad, and you're telling your stories, I have to fight my story. And what I mean is, I'm like, dang it, I wish I would have been a Marine instead of go to college and seminary and, be a youth pastor. And I just have to remind myself, if I had walked a different path, I wouldn't be able to fight the battle that I'm in today, for the hearts and souls of thousands and thousands of people. But it's another trick that the enemy uses to try to that guy's tougher than you, because you know what I mean?
Because I've had so many guys like you on the show, and then I'll get this comment from guys, I wasn't a Force Recon Marine. I wasn't an Navy SEAL. I'm not a best-selling author. So I'm just kind of a nobody. And there was a guy I was coaching a while back, and very impressive career in the Air Force. And he got saved as a kid, like he's probably 7 or 8 years old. Got saved. Grew up in a pastor's house and that kind of thing. And he kind of made this off-the-cuff comment. He's like, "Yeah, but I don't really have an exciting testimony, so I just don't really share it." And so I keyed in on that. I kind of dug in a little bit. I was like, okay, give me a little bit more, like, why, where does that come from, that type of thing. And then for whatever reason, Chad, I remembered this dude has 2 granddaughters, young granddaughters. And I was like, hey, do you want your granddaughters to have a boring testimony or an exciting one? Yeah. And like he froze. And it was like you could tell it landed immediately because it's like your testimony is your testimony, and your testimony qualifies you to minister to a specific kind of person. There's somebody that you brought with you who, lost one of his sons. One of his sons was killed. Yeah. And so
you spoke to him this morning.
Right.
You were speaking right to him this morning. He lost his 20-year-old son.
And so for Joby and I, we have sons that are alive. And so we can empathize with somebody. We can feel bad for them. We can pray for them. But he is set up and trained to mentor and to worship with and worship through and to go to war with people in the spiritual realm that have dealt with that specific kind of darkness. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so but I mean, having a guy like you to be able to tell your story, people can kind of see what the options are, especially for their own life as well.
Well, that's funny. One of the things that I'm on the opposite end of that because of my military experience and the MMA and those kind of things that, to me, it's just like, that's just my life. But to other people, they're like impressed by it. Like I am very aware and I feel like an extreme responsibility that I don't disconnect myself from people. And I do that a lot when I'm training guys to speak, like especially special operations guys that have these incredible backgrounds. It's like, you don't want to give a story that you put yourself in a place that people can't connect with you. You have to still be able to show a connection between that they can relate to.
Yeah.
And so that's like something, it's a balancing act. You want to be able to use those stories on those platforms to gain attention and respect so they'll listen, but then you don't want to speak at them and not with them,
I just thought it was ballsy the way how vulnerable you were, and you didn't sugarcoat parts of your testimony. Because the problem is a bunch of grown men come to church, come to an event like this or whatever, and they're like, "Wow, these people don't even have real struggles because it never gets meant." Now here we do. We just talk straight about it.
Yeah.
But I think too many people try to like whitewash their story a little bit, and because you don't want to give the evil one any glory or whatever.
Right.
But if you don't talk about real things,
grimy stuff.
Yeah, man. And I tell our church all the time, look, the fake you's doing just fine. A real Jesus died on the real cross for the real you. And so let's be real. And you will never learn to be free until you learn to be real and learn to be honest. Yeah.
For me, I just look at what's at stake. And like, if I'm not honest about the lows, then the highs, there's not much contrast to the highs. Like, and so if I'm gonna point to Jesus and people, see anything, if people see anything admirable in me right now, it's because they see Jesus in me.
Amen.
And so I need to show the rock bottom that I was at, and I have to be really vulnerable and transparent about those things. And I know too, especially from doing ministry now, that as terrible as some of the things I did, bad decisions I made, I'm not unique in that. I used to believe I was unique in that, but I'm like, oh yeah, we're all pretty messed up. So,
but that's what vulnerability leads to,
right?
Is where somebody can actually see themselves in your story a little bit, because you quoted Psalm 23 tonight, and people, they kind of misunderstand that psalm to where they're like, oh yeah, the Lord's, he's going to deliver me out of this valley. It's like, no, that's not what it says. It's that when you're in the valley, he's there with you, right? And so for all of us, we're either in that season where we're in the valley, coming out of the valley, or about to go into the valley. And so if people can't connect, because that's one thing, there are people, Joby, you're kind of like putting your thumb on this. There are people that do kind of what we do for a living, where they speak with a microphone on their face and they shine up all the rough edges, right? They want to shine them up as much as possible because they think self-deprecation doesn't add to their ability to have an impact, right? But it's like when you're being vulnerable and when you're throwing yourself under the bus, you're saying, hey, guys, the positive things I'm saying that to me too. And so it's kind of like, are we preaching the word to ourselves on a daily basis, or are we applying it elsewhere? And so I think that's something that you do whenever you do share so openly about your story and your struggles and the stuff you did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't know. I just think it's, if I'm going to do it, like I've heard it a lot. Like I go speak at church and like, oh, I can't believe how vulnerable you were. And I'm like,
it's just talking.
Yeah. Like what, like I could not do this if it wasn't going to be.
Well, also, isn't it just the people that don't believe the gospel are the folks that feel like they're still ashamed of their past.
Right.
Like the cross has outed us all.
Yeah.
So the shame has been taken away and nailed to the cross.
We're talking about a different person.
Right. With his accusations. That old Chad Robichaux is dead. That old Joby is dead, man.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. But I just appreciate it because, I mean, you won everybody's respect. I mean, you tell war stories. I mean, none of us have ever, some guys in this room, in that room have, but, nobody in my house has stood in the field in Afghanistan and traded gunfire And so you're like, nor have I won a belt in MMA, and you share their stories and you're kind of like, wow. Then I love the connection though of like, I was on the X when I got home and I needed Jesus to do what I couldn't do.
Yes. I would say we did both kill alligators though, right?
yeah, I've killed some.
That's true.
All three of us, right?
That's true. All three of us.
That's right. All with Dragon.
That's right. So shout out to Mike Dragic. But the cool thing about what you're saying as well is there were a lot of veterans in the community and in the room tonight, and a bunch of them came up and talked to you. Perhaps every single one of them came up and talked to you afterwards. But like the amazing thing about those guys is you also drew the dichotomy. There was a Vietnam vet in the room, and the way that those men were treated. Yeah. And I just had one on the show, Colonel Paris Davis, who was given the Medal of Honor like years, during the Biden administration, right? Yeah. So he had to wait this whole long time. And what those guys went through compared to what they're coming home with now. So they were coming home with a lot of the same psychological and mental scars that people from the GWAT have come home with. But there weren't people cheering them on. There weren't people trying to help them. And it kind of alluded to something you talked about, to where it's like, you don't want to admit weakness, especially when you're surrounded by lions, right? And then you get home, you're not surrounded by the lions anymore, but you still keep this idea that I got to keep the weakness to myself. Mm-hmm. And it's just that, Satan is super crafty. It's just a pervasive mindset that is, unfortunately taking a lot of guys out.
It has. There's, and we could say that, after 20 something years of, 9/11 was, was 2001. So you think it would have changed by now, but that stereotype is still there. Like it's still not just free to say, hey, I'm struggling right now, I need to take a knee. Like the military still hasn't figured it out yet.
Wow.
Yeah, it's sad. It still haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, we found that. We started a first responders ministry here at the church, and one of the things that has been really helpful is we have, with every sheriff's department at every county around, and we found it to be very helpful to have folks not employed by the police department and sheriff's office as trained chaplains, because a lot of those guys won't admit things to the chaplains because they're afraid of repercussions. Notes get taken and people get labeled, and one day for a promotion, a lot of these officers are afraid of that. And so that's not a good thing, man.
It's not.
Gross things grow in the dark.
That's what one of the things at Mighty Oaks, we've denied for 15 years now, have denied government funding. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I was just at the White House this week. And because the way the VA is set up, the FDA oversees any funding of a mental health programs. So the VA cannot approve a mental health program unless the FDA approves it, which is a conflict of interest because of the pharmaceutical companies, right? And but we could go down that rabbit hole. But where it hurts the veteran community is that now the only funding comes through clinical programs. Clinical programs keeps records, and those records have to be reported. So anybody that goes in those programs have to their information's out there, right? And you think HIPAA or something like that, but their information's out there.
Dude, my card's on the table. I'm just telling you, for anybody listening, if you go to, whether it's a mental health counselor or your regular doctor, and you don't feel good, and they don't ask you anything about diet, exercise, sleep, and relationships, and they hand you a bottle of something, you're at the wrong place. Now, I'm not completely anti-pills. There's some, God heals through people, prayers, and pills. But if the lead question is not heart, soul, mind, and strength, but it's just, I've got a prescription for that, you are in the wrong place. That 100%. Person is not. That person's on the hook. And some of them don't even know it.
Right.
That's just the system they grew up in. And a part of the reason, though, is because the church is like, well, we'll handle spiritual things, and y'all can handle everything else. Like at this church, we're going after heart, soul, mind, and strength with people. Yeah.
When you're ceding ground to people that don't have this, to entities that don't have the capability of standing under the pressure. So I talk about how churches, and we've all seen this and we've all talked about it privately and, on our respective shows, but the church has accepted its position culturally as downstream of culture, right?
Yeah.
And so when the church starts looking up to culture and up to society and up to perhaps a political party, that's the both sides of the issue. It's like you're not accepting the position that God gave you, right? You're not stepping into the position that God has, to where everything else should flow from what is happening inside of the church. And you're right, Joby, we've abdicated our responsibility as churches writ large. I mean, you're the only pastor technically at the table right now, but we've accepted that position, and then we're the ones that accepted the position, and then we're lamenting where we are in position to culture. It's like, wait a minute, you can't speak real truth to power whenever you put yourself in that position to begin with.
The other extreme is churches, some of them, I think it's a pride thing, and they're like, well, if we didn't create it, we don't want to have anything to do with it. Well, how dumb is that? What the heck do I know about veteran care? Nothing. So what a lot of churches will do is like, well, we have to go out and start this thing from scratch. We don't do that. What we primarily try to do in a whole bunch of areas is we try to stay in our lane, preach the Bible, make disciples, and then partner with folks like you and help fuel and fund the thing God's called you to do. In actuality, according to Ephesians chapter 4, verse 20, my job is to equip the saints for the work of the ministry. The ministry actually doesn't even happen in the church. The ministry happens when the saints are equipped to go do the thing that God has called them to do. So part of the reason we would partner with Mighty Oaks and we partner with Undaunted.Life is because these are areas where God has already called you, his hand of blessing is upon you, and we're just trying to fuel the things that you guys are already doing. Instead of us trying to create a lesser...
It's really great to hear you say that, because that's how me leading the ministry of Mighty Oaks, we say the same thing, the opposite. Like, I'll tell our staff, hey, we have to be very clear. Like, Mighty Oaks is not the solution to this issue. We are actually a conduit to the church. We will reach people that'll never walk inside the walls of the church. 100%. We're out in the trenches, but we're not the destination. We are a pit stop to the church. Our job is to be a conduit to the church and get them planted in local churches and homes and church homes. And that's always been the mission of Mighty Oaks, and it's very clear to our staff that
yeah, anyone that's ever ran into you guys or talked to you guys about Mighty Oaks, or anyone that's on your staff, like that's so readily apparent. And again, as we're all talking about this, like, we're recording this the day of Charlie Kirk's celebration of life that's happening in Arizona, and you mentioned it tonight from the stage. I mean, somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 250,000 people converged on the same location. And I've seen some debate going back and forth on, whether or not he's a Christian martyr, and, people are like categorizing him as this, or, oh, well, he's a political figure, and so we can't really talk about him. But literally at the event where he was assassinated, just minutes before he was assassinated, he proclaimed the truth of the gospel to a non-believer. And especially in the last 2 to 3 years, and that's been an inspiration to me seeing this, but in the last 2 to 3 years, that became the foundation of every single thing that he talked about. So when he was talking about a cultural issue or a societal issue or a political issue, it was going back to a biblical foundation and a biblical truth that was rooted in the truth of the gospel. And so I know that's a challenge for you with Mighty Oaks. It's a challenge to me with Undaunted.Life to be like, okay, where is our foundation here? Am I getting out over my skis because I'm getting excited about something in culture, or because I'm concerned about something politically? And so I think it's been a wake-up call for a lot of people that do kind of parachurch ministry stuff, and then Joby doing the straight-up ministry stuff as well. I mean, when you look at communities that are afflicted by all these cultural issues that are implicated from politics, our communities are going to need answers to these things. And so if they can't go to their church to speak biblical truths and all these cultural issues, then where do they go? Where do they go? They go to Fox News, CNN. Anywhere. There's no good answer anywhere. The place that they should be able to go is to their community church and the leaders in their churches to speak biblical truths on these issues.
Hey guys, real quick, you may have noticed a lot of companies out there that are advertising and marketing that they're American companies, but guess what, guys? All of their manufacturing and all of their jobs are overseas, right? These companies are manufacturing overseas in order to increase their profit margins, but they're allowing globalism to put America and Americans behind. And I've been wanting to partner with an American company, with really all across the board American companies that prioritize American workers, their families, and keep their word. And guys, I've been working with this company for so long. We're going on, I think, 4 or 5 years now. That's why I want to remind you that we are partnered with Origin. Origin is an apparel company based in Maine, and what do they make? They make, guys, literally the best jiu-jitsu gis on the planet, and they are the only jiu-jitsu gis that are made completely in America with all American products and completely with American hands. And I use the Rift 2.0 and the Nano Pearl gis exclusively now. They also make jeans. That is their best seller. They have very, very awesome stretchy jeans, and they also have work jeans and bootcut jeans. They make amazing hunting and outdoor gear. They offer handmade leather boots to include boots, steel toe boots. My personal favorites are the Whiskey Maine mock toe boots in a natural wedge sole. I wear those around all the time. And they also make great workout clothes. They have everyday pants and shirts. They're getting more into kind of men's casual stuff. They have indestructible hoodies. They're launching new apparel all the time. It's just an amazing, amazing company. So guys, if you haven't already, you need to check them out and support a company that supports Americans. Try Origin out today by going to originusa.com. That's originusa.com. Use the promo code Undaunted to get 10% off your order. Again, that's originusa.com. Promo code Undaunted to get 10% off your order.
Yeah, so I talked last weekend and this weekend about Charlie Kirk. One, I don't know how you don't talk about the biggest thing going on in the society right now. Like, and I'm trying to give as much grace as I can.
You're hiding from it if you don't talk.
Some guys are cowards.
Yeah.
And just a heads up, man, coward is listed as a group of people that don't make it into heaven. So I'd pay attention to that, along with all kind of crazy sins. So, But a part of what I said today at church was, if I'm the shepherd, a big part of what is happening is that people do look to me as their pastor to help navigate how do we move from here to there to get to still waters and green pastures. And the folks that want to argue about Charlie Kirk, whether he's a Christian martyr or not. Okay, did the brother Pete, he preached the gospel to more college kids than anybody in this generation.
In history.
To say that he's not a Christian martyr would be to say John the Baptist isn't a Christian martyr because he actually didn't die for his faith. He died for his views on marriage, and that's why King Herod killed him. Nobody would say that. So people, you're just, you got a preconceived notion, and you're just leading with your left politics as opposed to leading with the cross. And actually what's happening now in regards to Charlie Kirk is a bunch of haters are now watching his full-length videos and going,
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I think people have been lying to me.
Yeah, it's happening a lot. That's they're taking these clips and they're going back and watching, seeing the context, and they're like, "Yep, exactly, like we've been lied to," and which is, I mean, it's a great thing. It's they're getting woke the other way.
Waking up to the truth.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, someone was talking about, if someone on the staff, I'll get the stat wrong, but it was like leading up to the election between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Charlie Kirk's videos specifically were viewed for it was something like 15 billion views in total. So if you take, clips taken at TikTok and Instagram, and it's impossible to get the actual number because people rip clips and, share it elsewhere as their own. Like, I think everyone's done that at this point. But the thing that we see with his situation is the flaming arrows that were thrown at him had nowhere to land. Right. And so they called them all the phobes, right? Like you're an Islamophobe, you're a misogynist, you're a transphobe, you're a homophobe, you're a xenophobe, you're all these negative things. And yet they can't find the quote or the clip that leads directly to that. And again, for me, I'm looking at like, okay, I said this to someone the other day because I was talking to him. I was like, I kind of look at my podcast as a love letter to my sons. My 5-year-old, my 3-year-old, because if something happened to me and I didn't wake up tomorrow, right, there's 800 some odd episodes that those boys at some point, as long as the internet's still around, can go back and listen to.
Yeah.
And if anyone were to call their daddy, like any of the phobes or any of those negative things, or that he was, Nazi or any of those types of things, I want them to be able to go back to the source material and say, actually, my dad was a man of the book and he tried his best and he made some mistakes and some missteps, but he owned them and he kind of kept going forward. But I mean,
sometimes I think about that when I'm preaching. I want to preach my own funeral.
Yeah, that's what
I know what I'm on this
just did.
planet for. Yeah. I'm on this planet to share the gospel. So when I die and they put me in the box, I want whoever's going to do my funeral to be like, here's what this man was about. They're going to have a lot of hours of me sharing the gospel, and I'm going to share the gospel at my funeral, and then that'll be my last ministry moment,
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I loved about Charlie, and having the privilege to speak a lot of kind of speaking circuit and a lot of text between us, but I've been on a show a few times, and we actually didn't always agree on a show, but his ability to have civil discord and things he didn't agree with. And obviously we were both conservatives. We're both very much aligned, but there was some things we didn't agree on. And man, his ability to have those conversations, like at that time, every show was going on the topic of Afghanistan and Ukraine. I think that the host would probably, even if they didn't agree, they would pander to me.
Sure. Yeah.
And he didn't. And I loved the conversation.
And that's a part of what it means to stand up and act like a man.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Van Jones. We were just talking about that today in the truck. I mean,
Good on
Van
him.
Jones is somebody, and I forget how exactly I said it, but it's like Van Jones, I think he believes wrong on every other issue, but I don't think he's inherently evil, right? Whereas some people, I think, yeah, you believe wrong and the things you support are evil. But he said the day before Charlie Kirk got shot, that Charlie sent him a DM and he shared the message, and he waited a couple of weeks. He's like, I didn't want to seem like I was trying to get clicks or something like that, but I feel like this is important for our cultural moment because that day him and Charlie were going back and forth. I think it was on Twitter or something like that. They were just going back and forth and having this
Ukrainian girl.
Yeah, this public kerfuffle between these guys. And then Charlie basically said, "Hey, I want you to come on my show. Like, let's talk this out. Let's civilly disagree in front of the entire world." And the next day he's bleeding out, right? And Van Jones, you could tell, like, he cried on air. Like, he was just basically like, he was the epitome of what he was preaching, because there's a lot of people that are trying to attach things to Charlie and say, oh, well, Charlie would have said this, after he has gone and can't really defend himself. But I mean, it's just a lot of people are learning lessons right now.
So what would you guys say? I mean, I know you get some hate. I assume you get some hate too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me too. So a guy shows up to this event tonight, right? And he feels convicted. He feels encouraged, like all the right things. And he's kind of been sitting on the sidelines. And then at work tomorrow, he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to stand up and act like a man. I'm going to step into my God-given purpose. And then he starts getting pushed back at work, from the neighborhood, just all the places. I mean, I'm sure people aren't blowing him up online like they do us, but
yeah,
what would
his circle, right?
Yeah, what would you say to that man? Because he's listening right now,
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, anytime in my life that I've moved towards something good, and I could go back, like, anytime I've moved in my life towards something good, there's been opposition.
Right.
There's been opposition, but standing against that opposition and pressing through it led me to a better place. And so, if you want what you never had, you got to do what you've never done. And it's not going to be popular. People are going to be, if you have in bad company, they're going to want you to stay. They want you to stay there in bad company with them. So do you want to stay with those people that are condemning you? Do you want to stay where they are? Do you want to stay there? Or did you make a decision to go somewhere better? And if you made the decision to go somewhere better, well, there's going to be opposition. You're just going to have to, and you're going to have to endure that. It's part of the process. It's part of the refinement.
Yeah, Joby, I literally had this conversation with a guy like 2 days ago, and he's wanting to be more bold about his faith, and he works, in kind of a rough industry where a lot of the people are kind of knuckleheads and do knucklehead things, and he's trying to see like what exactly he should do. And I just said, you've been operating in this way where you've had no turbulence, you've had no friction, you've had no pushback, and so things have seemed really, really nice. But if you look at even the context of iron sharpening iron, because that's everybody's favorite men's ministry thing. Oh, it's iron, we're iron sharpening iron. But it's like, if I looked at y'all's men's ministry at your church, it would be like two streams of lotion hitting one another. It's not iron. Like, because when iron is sharpening iron, it's loud, it's disruptive, there's sparks, there might be fire, there's all these types of things. So it's like, brother, if you're starting to feel some of that, you're over the X. Because tonight you were talking about being on the X and needing to get off the X. But if you're above it all, like, you're in the right place if you needed to drop payload. And the thing is you have to make sure through practice and through prayer and through making sure you're looking at the promptings of the Holy Spirit, you have to make sure what you're doing is righteous and moral. And so if you're in the right place and you're over the X and the people are giving you flack and negative feedback about that, that is part of your walk. And like, count it all as joy, because in that moment you were exactly where God wants you to be.
You know what else is super important that I skipped over, and it's probably the most important thing, is aligning with like-minded brothers. So if you change your mind, now you're out of unity with your old group of people, and so you need to lock arms with a new group of people, and maybe some of those old people will follow you along because they can see fruit in your life, and they be like, I want some of that too, but you're gonna have to go first, and so that means changing your circle. And it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, that's a good.
I mean, and it's the old burn the ships.
That's right.
Thing.
Yeah, one of the things is, man, we don't fight to fight. We don't just fight to fight. When Paul in Corinthians tells us act like men, he ends it with, and let everything you do be done in love. That our weapons of warfare are different, and our lead foot is love. Speaking of Charlie Kirk, So like what happens with Van Jones is he didn't use these words, but what he's saying is, okay, he's thinking Charlie's a fighter and Charlie's like you said, a xenophobe, homophobe, a transphobe, whatever. But then his personal interaction and experience is like, oh my God, this guy's loving towards me.
Yeah.
And it's disarming.
Oh, Bill Maher said that when Charlie Kirk was on the show. And I mean, when Bill Maher has people on his podcast, like they're smoking weed, they're drinking alcohol, like it's like a whole thing. And Charlie's obviously kind of teetotaling when it comes to a lot of that. But I think at one point, like Bill Maher just goes, man, I was just waiting to find like the bigot, like the monster that people told me that you were. And I just haven't found him yet. And Charlie didn't use that as like a gotcha. All right, now I'm going to take the mask off and like really get after it. And so, but as we close out here, I think it is very important because we've all talked about it in different contexts. You talked about it from stage tonight. We talk about Foxhole. We talk about Band of Brothers. We talk about Matt Toters or Matt Carriers. We talk about King's Table. We talk about all those things. Because what helps you get through those moments where you're getting that negative feedback, when you're getting, people that are, the flaming darts of the enemy are heading your way. Like if you can lock arms and get in a phalanx with real dudes and you're protecting the guy to your left as your right is being protected by the guy to your right, like to say it's invaluable is to say nothing at all.
Yeah. I think another thing too is you got to pay close attention to the inputs. And so there are 3 podcasts right here that would help you focus your mind on the right things, because I'm sure, because we're going to put this on all 3 platforms, so there are resilient guys that don't know about us and deepened guys that don't know about you and Undaunted.Life guys that don't know about us. And so if that's you out there, do you know you have an entire library out there of some God-honoring, stand up and act like a man
episodes,
kind of
800
stuff,
and counting.
I think I'm in mid-80s right
You'll get there eventually. Like one of these days, like your resume
One
just
day you'll
isn't
be
quite
a
full enough.
4-degree
But,
black belt podcaster.
But I will say your podcast and mine aren't very holy because we don't end with prayer, but Joby's does. And so I think that's how we should do it. So let's
pray and then we're going to go to thanks. Chad, thanks for blessing my church. You know how you love people that love your kids well?
Yeah.
Well, in a real sense, I'm like the dad of this big family here. And when I see somebody bless the folks that I'm responsible to shepherd, I love you even more now.
Thank you for trusting me with the privilege to get in front of your congregation.
Dude, let's go. All right, let's pray. Father in heaven, we love you. God, thanks so much that you have created us to be men in your image, to be provider, protector, prophet, priest, servant, king. And Lord, I pray that we would step into the warfare that you have. Just like Chad said, we were born behind enemy lines, but good news, you have already won the war. Now may we just live a life that honors that. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Wherever you're listening to this, please subscribe, rate, and leave us a positive 5-star review. If you want me to come speak live at your event or on your podcast, just shoot me an email to info@Undaunted.Life. That's info@Undaunted.Life. Follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook, and check out our website for everything else, including how to donate to keep more content like this coming your way. Just go to www.Undaunted.Life. And as always, we want to thank the band Holy Name for allowing us to use their music for our content. The music on this podcast is their song Perpetua, which is off their self-titled debut album on Face Down Records. The links are in the description. I'm your host, Kyle Thompson. Remember, keep pushing back darkness, keep forging spiritual, mental, and physical resilience, keep seeking the Lion of Judah.